All right, thanks for joining me today. We're going to take a look at Disney, the stock. And what we're going to check out is the technicals, and I'll give you some personal takes on just overall recent price action. All right, keep in mind, none of these are recommendations to buy, sell, or trade anything, just my own personal thoughts. All right, let's kick things off. And as we get going, let's just look at the recent chart here. This current stock's around 152 or so. If you look at just overall the max projection history over, many decades here, the stock chart is basically been grinding to the upside. Now, if we look at the recent 5 years, it's had some trouble due to streaming, because a lot of stuff like Netflix, Hulu, and other companies are really taking over. YouTube, even they're competing. So, the stock did explode fairly well. Here, we'll take a look at it like this. It exploded fairly well, then it kind of had a little toppy action and pulled back. So that's over the 5-year period. So recently, as you can see, the stock's down about 10% or so over across a year, not from the highs. So it's been in the downward trend, and then since then we also had a little bit of this downward problem. So as we check out the chart, and as I go in and you look at the pullback from the highs, let me just switch this line here for you. Just go a little bit thinner. Here we go. So from the highs, as we take a look, this stock is down about 25%. So if you look at it from a company perspective, what's interesting about this stock is it's coming into some nice critical support lines and lines of resistance, right? So here's our past line. If you go in and you check out like the bottoms of it, obviously remember this is not an exact price point. It's a range. So when we look at this being resistance over here, and here now we're coming right into support. So the stock, as we sold off, we're coming right into about that 150, which is also a nice round number. So that's pretty cool. The big problem here that I see is we did have the volume on the sell side. So this is to the bearish side favor. You do have some other support levels here below. In the past, the stock did tank quite a bit, and then it kind of recovered fairly quickly. So recently, as we had this little pullback, the stock is kind of starting to hold. If we look at, the longer term, obviously the stock's been grinding up. So if we look at a big picture, the stock does some smart things, right? They have some smart people in their company. If we look at the weekly, in this recent action, we've got some sideways problems and then a little pullback. So if you're kind of a medium-term investor, right, you're holding things for like maybe a year or so, it's got some trouble. If you're looking long-term, you're like, hey, it's still okay. It might be at a good value buy. If you're also looking from the shorter-term perspective, this is also starting to kind of base here. So from a shorter term, what's nice is look at this. You've got support. So it kind of came in, and it's kind of bouncing. And then if you look at it right here, we've got some resistance over top, right around 153 or so. And if it breaks past that, you could see a nice movement to the upside. And you got a gap right here, which can also get into and fill. So it could suck into there because there's an empty range. So when we really look at this stock from a total or a whole, this is doing quite well because it's starting to create this rounding pattern. The problem is there's just not a lot of volume coming in yet on the buy side, but that means you could be early to the party. So just watch out and don't trade it too big yet because the signals are not fully there for a rocket ship. Plus we've got a little bit of a choppy market. But in general, overall, what you're seeing is we're coming right into that level where we're starting to rotate. We're starting to pivot the direction a bit rather than just a continuous kind of downward move here, downward action. So from a shorter term perspective, think of it like day trading or a couple day hold or a shorter term swing trading, like a couple weeks. This might be a good stock to look at. If you're looking longer term, also, this could be a fairly good stock because as we look at just overall the projections from 1984, 85, the stock's done quite well. The problem here is more when you're looking at it from like a shorter term swing perspective or a short-term long investor. You do have this recent sideways action and a slight pullback. So basically, longer term looks pretty good. Shorter term looks pretty good. If you're kind of in that medium range right now, you could have a little bit of choppiness. So just be careful about that. But other than that, the stock looks fairly good and healthy. If I look at just overall the swing, you can see here, We're starting to create this rounding area. Volume starting to pick up lightly here, but nothing amazing yet. So if this starts to pick up speed, this could look pretty good later on. Anyways, thanks for joining me in this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next episode. Don't forget to check out my other channel about trading options at Traders Fly. I'll see you next time.